Yes, it's true. From what you may have seen, I did not qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. And I kind of feel like a part of me has been taken away. You train for so long and you focus on these goals for such a long period of time that you visualize, you prepare physically, mentally, emotionally to go to these trials and make the team. And then when you miss out, it's heartbreaking. I just flew home from my Australian Olympic trials and we had a week of competition to see who from the country would go through to Paris. The event I was trialing for was the men's 10-meter platform, the same event I went to the Olympics for in Tokyo 2021. Now we do 3 rounds and all 3 rounds of 6 dives come together and the top 2 highest scores go through to the Olympics. Now, I didn't make the team, but I wanted to go through my dives with you guys and talk through how I was feeling, what I was thinking, and why I've missed out on this Olympic Games. So my first competition was on the Saturday, and this was the preliminary, but every dive counts because it all adds up to that final score. Now, I always start the competition with my back twist because it's a comfortable dive. You're standing there. I'm very confident with it. And it was pretty solid. Not incredible, but it was a solid dive. Now my next dive was my front 3.5 pike. And again, it wasn't terrible. It was actually a solid dive that I was quite happy with as well. I did make a mistake on my third dive of the competition, my reverse 3.5. I kicked a little bit early and went short. And in these kind of events, any mistake really hits you hard because all those scores are combined towards the end of the try. So that was really upsetting, especially quite early into the competition. But you have no choice but just to keep pushing on and focus on the next dive and just try to forget about what happened, move on and take control of what you have in front of you, which is the next dive. My next dive was my back 3.5 and I was happy with it. It was a little bit short, a little bit loose coming out of the dive. It could have been sharper and stronger, but as a whole, good dive with a good entry. It's what you want. My next dive was my handstand. Now this one is fairly consistent for me and it was solid. It could have been sharper on the entry with less splash, but not too bad. And my last dive, my Emmett 3.5, my absolute pet dive. I love this one. It was solid. The preliminary was okay. It wasn't great. It was very far from a personal best, but it wasn't terrible either. The next day, we had our semi-finals. And we come in to do the same dives all over again. So I was opening up with me back twist. And again, it was a solid dive. Okay takeoff, good entry, happy days. I then had me front 3.5 pike. Solid takeoff, again, good entry. Could have been a little sharper, but no major mistakes. I then had me reverse 3.5, which again, I made a mistake and went short. Now it was really frustrating because in training, this is one of my best dives. But both competitions, prelim and semi-final, I made a small mistake. So that was frustrating. But I had to move on to my back 3.5, and I was pretty happy with this. You can always have less splash, but as a whole, it was a pretty good dive. I had me handstand, which was solid, consistent, a little bit over, but nothing major. And then me in with 3.5, which, to be honest, I wasn't super happy with because it went a tad short. And the semi-finals were okay. They were just a bit mediocre. Nothing was incredible. Nothing was terrible. But it just didn't flow really well. And that's just the way it goes. We had to then go home, reset, and we came back to the pool in the afternoon for the finals. Now, all the scores are combined. So at this point, I was a fair few points behind. I am sitting in